Rough day, but I'm doing great.
You play Minister Daley. Are there any similarities between Kenroy and Minister Daley?
Well, I guess the only similarity is that I believe in politics, and I believe that politics should be something that everyone should be a part of, because at the end of the day, you can't own a house or you can't be in a house and don't have a say in terms of what the leadership should be like, what the direction of that house should be like, and the goal setting, etc. So for those who would say, oh, I don't vote or I don't, you're just as bad as the person who a politician can give $5,000 or $3,000 to vote, because you don't genuinely give an input in terms of the kind of leadership or the kind of direction that you would want the country to go into.
I totally agree with that. You're in your work attire and we are in
Yes.
your work space. You were
Yes.
talking a lot about leadership and you play a crucial role as an authority figure. Can
Yes.
you walk me through your life outside of playing Minister Daly?
Well, outside of Minister Daley, I'm really and truly a serious person. On my 9 to 5, I'm a dean of discipline, imagine that. So really and truly, safety and security is one of the most important things in terms of the school environment, school setting. So we try to implement policies and procedures to ensure that the students are actually safe, in terms of being in the environment, because a safe environment really is really conducive for students to learn. And if they're here, they're worrying about bullyism, fights, extortion, things like that, it will affect and detract from them actually learning. So we try to minimize those as best as possible through systems and procedures.
And is this type of philosophy something that you try to implement in your personal life as
Yes,
well?
definitely. I think discipline is not just punishment. And I think once person tend to hear about discipline, they tend to think that it's just punishment. But it's not that. It's really drill and practice. So whatever you practice in your life, that's what will become you. I think Mahatma Gandhi said it, be careful of your thoughts because your thoughts become your action. Be careful of your actions because your action eventually become you, the individual. So you have to be mindful of at every step of the way what thoughts you have, what actions you take, because whatever you start today and you consistently do it within a 21-day period, it becomes you.
Yeah.
So we must be mindful of this, and if we're mindful of that, then we would guide the students, guide people in general in terms of how they think, how they act, how they even respond to situations, because that makes a difference.
I definitely agree with you there. So we see a lot of different stories unfold on the bartender and a lot of space being created for these different kind of conversations to be had.
This conversation ends here.
As a dean of discipline, how important is it for you um, that certain messages are taken from the bartender where the seriousness and narratives on what is happening in society with the youth and things that are shared about what happens in the news?
I have also asked the commanding officer in charge to arrange a meeting with the members of the community. I have been getting serious complaints, too many to mention, about police excesses. So I've asked the commanding officer to set up a meeting between the community members and the security forces.
Well, it is very important, because the arts is always what is used to shape society. In the communist society, for example, Cuba, persons tend, when the government is planning in terms of budgeting, a lot, I think one of the first section or sector that has to speak is arts and entertainment, followed by education, because the arts is really what is used to shape the culture, shape the belief, shape the mindset of the people. And just like I said, your thoughts become your action eventually becomes you. So if we can tap into that space to get persons to see some of the things, the ills of society, some of the right things as well, and see that, okay, I have the opportunity of doing things this way versus doing it that way, then it's a win. Because if I can use my life or my skill to dedicate to not just with my students but with an entire nation, to show them the wrong way of doing things versus the right way of doing things, I'm always encouraged by that.
Being the dean of discipline, right, and playing Mr. Daly, Who is Kenroy?
Just a jovial individual who I'm sure my students and staff would not believe. But my friends who are close to me would know that I'm a clown, really and truly. Won't answer to me.
You're busy, you can't be go buy lunch.
No, I have the students to attend to.
That's why you're in my office.
The staff that trouble me every day, my headache staff.
Yes, you are a social comedian, that is for sure.
Definitely.
So tell us something that we do not know about Kenroy.
I wonder what that would be. Well, persons might not know that I wore locks for almost 12 years. I know that's hard to imagine with a bald head, but yes.
Oh my.
No meat, just fish, vegetable.
That is
12
interesting.
years,
I led a similar life.
Oh, nice.
But you and acting, right? Walk us through your passion. Is that something that was your passion? How did you get into it?
I think, as I said, arts is something that saved me. During high school, arts and cadet, and that's why I encourage students here. I have something to tell you. Make sure you don't tell nobody. I think we have like 15 clubs and society at our school. Why? I'm a firm believer in this. I was a student who, I tell teachers here all the while, I remember when I got head boy, because my school was a dual shift school, so on the junior school I used to give a lot of trouble. When I got to grade 10 and 11, the arts, being among the choir, being in the choir, involved in the choir, marine cadet, being involved in the drama club at school.
You were well-rounded.
So because of that and track and field, I sort of changed my life to the point where I got head boy. So the junior teachers would have remembered me for that little troublemaker. I remember being awarded head boy and having the badge on my chest and standing at the gate instructing students. And I remember a teacher saying to me, "You, head boy, go take off the people them badge." And I was laughing for a while because I thought she was actually joking. And I'm saying, "No, miss, I'm the head boy for real." And she said, "No, the school not so mad. Go and go take off the badge." And until I realized that she was getting more and more intense with the interrogation and stuff, until other students and teachers intervened to say, "No, he's the head boy and he's actually doing a good job." So the arts, the extracurricular activities, they are things that really can shape students. I am a testament to that. My accomplishment, most of what I've done in this life is through the arts.
And that is a lot of your passion lies in the arts, and because you are naturally a disciplined person.
Definitely. In terms of the arts, I've done almost all areas of the arts. I've directed, I've acted paper to stage. I've acted in that for like 18 years where we dramatize CXC literature books to students doing CXC. I was also a part of the marketing team, pushing that to school. Sometimes we go to venues, 400, 1,200 students. So the arts is really the foundation of which I would have built my career and changed my life and also my generation in terms of children to come.
So tell me more about your directing.
I tend to like to direct community drama because it's entertainment for the people, by the people, and with the people. So I would have done a lot of community work. I remember my last production that I put on was a tribute to Nelson Mandela, which was more of a musical. We use poetry, we use drama, we use acting to depict the life and work of the great Nelson Mandela. So
that is very inspiring.
Yes.
Do you often meet students who are interested in the arts?
All the while. I think especially for students of lower socio-economical background, the arts is really an escape, a way to express themselves. They don't have psychologists and counselors that they can readily go to, or the parents can't afford to pay for a private counseling. So it's really therapy for them. They are able to use the arts to express themselves, bond with teachers, get guidance from teachers. Things like those are individuals, because some of them do it at the community level.
Yeah. When your students see you in Bartender, I mean, have you had that experience where they come up to you and they're
Yes, man, every day. "Sir, politician, sir, Minister Daley, sir, we never know you this, we never know you." So it's always that enthusiasm and that level of love and passion to see that somebody that would be here at school telling you that you can make it, you can be whatever you want to be. They're seeing that though the serious phase during the day, I'm able to relax and enjoy being a part of the arts and entertaining them.
And them seeing you actively being that is showing them that they can be all these different things if they want
Exactly.
to.
No limitation to
No
life.
limitations. I totally agree with that.
Yes.
Tell me something fun about Kenroy.
Um, I used to do poetry. I used to love
Poetry.
poetry. I was a part of a poetry group called Colors, so that's why the locks. But now the locks gone, so yeah.
You don't
we
do poetry anymore?
I haven't written in years. I haven't wrote a poem in years.
Really?
Long time.
Do you think you have writer's block?
No, not necessarily. It's just that the time doesn't really permit to write.
Okay, I totally understand. How long have you been a dean of discipline?
Dean of Discipline from 2020, but I've been in education formally from September 1st, 2006.
Oh, so you must really enjoy being an educator, right?
It's rewarding. It's not necessarily the financial reward. It's just the ability to touch lives and actually see the person that you would have met in grade 7 and watch them grow. Especially if someone who would have been in education for so long as myself. When you go into a bank or you're stopped by the police and to hear that voice saying, "Sir" or "Miss," it's always welcoming for an educator to know that you would have been somebody who would have impacted that life and have possibly seen the growth and development of that individual, especially those who would have come to you with challenges, whether they are learning challenges, psychological challenges, whatever the challenges are, and you would have been someone who played a part in getting that person on the right track.
I mean, I think being an educator takes some level of selflessness actually.
Definitely.
So how do you balance doing that and having the life outside of that's of a creative?
It's critical time management. You have to schedule things. For example, since I've been a dean, what I have to do is I have to ensure that I have a list of things that I know that I do during the close of school, and I just tick the boxes. When school is about to resume, I ensure that I check my list to ensure that I'm prepared for school, because you have to always be on point and doing the things that are necessary to get the students prepared and the staff prepared forward.
We see a lot of, speaking of students, and having them prepared, we see a lot of what is happening in society, right? And how technology influences the youth. What do you think it takes as a parent or any individual who wants to be somewhat of an influence to children, to the youth, and to motivate them? What does it take to really do that?
It takes a lot of self-discipline, because the truth is, even for myself, with social media, there are a lot of challenges that I would have seen out there, where dance challenging, especially being someone in the arts. So it caused me to have to always second guess. Oh, I remember my students are watching, I remember my parents are watching. So I would have to always think about what the impact will be. Because the truth is, society can really be judgmental on educators. I would have seen lawyers are able to unwind outside of their professional era. I would have seen doctors, etc. But sometimes I see teachers in a swimsuit and it causes a controversy. You must be delusional. As if teachers don't have a personal life or a private life outside of. But it really takes a level of self-discipline to understand that where a generation is being led down a wrong path, we have to be the persons who are showing them the actual right way of doing things. For example, if there's a challenge with even just as simple as a curse word, I have to play by the rules for now. That alone would automatically erase that from me being a part of it, or just to say, let me try this.
Yeah.
Every time I see you, you remind me how complicated you make my life. Because I have to always remember that my students are watching.
And we see, even in the bartender, you don't really see that. You don't really get a lot of cursing.
What? Where the hell you come from? Yes.
Right? Because it is family friendly.
And it appeals to the entire family. So there is something there in the bartender for everyone to take from. I'm about to do my evening jobs, all right? Therapist says it will do me good. So I'll let you know when it's good to link up, all right? even the characters, in terms of how the writing is done, the characters, you have characters from the upper echelon of society, you have middle class characters, and then you have those who are from the lower socio-economic class. So there is something for everyone to take from and learn something of, and even aspire to.
You think I have time to be worried about you and your little threats? Eh? I have an election to prepare for and a constituency to develop that you fail to develop. You're the least of my problem.
Sure I am.
Yeah, and that's truly important, you know, having that kind of diversity when it comes to class, you know, background and even experiences.
Definitely.
And having these stories being told from, you know, where you were born, growing up into either gang affiliated neighborhoods or something as traumatic as abortion.
That's true.
How important do you think these stories are to tell and to share and to create dialogue around these things?
They're very important, you know, because even in some institution you will realize, and teachers will tell you, educators will tell you, sometimes some students, whenever they would be a part of a gang, you can see the difference in their behavior, but they're not seeing what being a member of a gang would be 5 years down the road, 3 years down the road. What will happen if when you're given a weapon, for example, and you would have lost that weapon? What are the consequences on you and your family in terms of moving or having to pay for this? The bartender would have given them an opportunity to see what 3 years in a gang would look like, what 5 years in a gang would look like, what some of the action and consequences.
Yo, that now happen today.
Yo, when I got, yo, him have my money for me now.
Yeah, sir.
You hear that?
Yo, me not care where you're from. I tell you, so you can't come here and take me. No, man. I'm free of you.
And even the responsibilities and authority figure, the expectation from the authority figure, who's the so-called Don, that you would have to carry out in terms of dealing with or treating with being a member of a gang. So they might be happy to know that, oh, I'm a part of a gang because it's fair. So they're seeing it from the outside.
Yeah.
But being able to see the deeper inner aspect of these things might allow them to second guess being a part of that.
Yeah, but you don't name a call. So you don't know about what going on with the Dan over the door.
Butcher, your offers were under payments though.
It is. Now them can go and pray, brother. A police go deal with that, you know. One name can call upon that, brother.
Different
Getting involved
perspective,
in
yeah.
that.
I definitely agree with you there. What has this experience been like for you to be on sets of the Bartender and to work with other, you know, fellow casts and to work with the production team as well?
It has been amazing. Mr. Hall was my dance teacher in college. I studied at the Xpressionzja Community College, so it's years of friendship. I call him my godfather because through college, you know, coming from an inner city community, he was one of the persons who assisted in terms of molding the personality that I am. I grew sheltered, so he was one of the persons who was able to say, no man up, this is what the real world is about. This is what the real expectation of the world is, especially for someone who wants to venture in the arts. How you're going to treat with stardom, how you're going to treat with persons who are going to speak down to you, how you're going to deal with. So I would have always appreciated that, and I am able to see now where my students are also know what would have gone through my teachings, would have been a part of the production. So it's really a family affair, and it's really learning and growing and assisting the society in general in terms of a sense of direction and growth.
And what would your advice be to maybe, you know, other youths out there, especially if they're troubled and they don't really have a sense of direction right now, trying to figure out where to go? Because it's really hard when you're a teenager making a decision of what you want your life to be. You may have some idea, but it's
All right, I would personally say to them, I would share to them two things. One, closed mouth don't get fed. So if you have an issue and you don't speak and you don't go out there and allow someone to know that this is the child, I'm not saying you should say it to everybody, but say what the challenges are. I remember when I left high school with 2 subjects. When I ventured to Xed, I remember I went to the HOD and I said, sir, 2 subjects alone may have, you know. And he said, yeah man, come and do other subjects. Today I have a master's degree. Same Xed again, I can remember. The other philosophy is just start. Because if you don't start, you will never finish. I remember when I was going, it was $36,000 for school fee. I couldn't find the first dollar.
Yeah.
The first $1,000 for registration, my father actually borrowed
Wow.
to pay the school fee just for registration. And I was able to see my way through college. Leave there, I went to VTDI, I went to IUC, I now have a master's. So just start, because once you start, there will be persons along the way who come and see that you're actually doing something, and people like to be a part of success. They want to be a part of your success story. They want to be a part of your journey. But sitting down and complaining that, oh, I never go to school all the days, or oh, I never get to do my subject or whatever, nobody's gonna help you. Just sitting down and whining. Just start. Get out there. There are opportunities, several opportunities. And I'm not saying everybody going to have the same mindset to face the embarrassment or the challenges or whatever, but you will not know if you're able to do it if you don't start. So give it a try.
Yeah, you live your life just being unfulfilled potential.
Exactly. Just start.
I really enjoyed this. Thank you so much, Kenry.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me here. If you don't mind, can you just show me around a little bit?
All right.
Yeah.